Tan- Hi, you're watching On the Town, and I'm your host, Tanya Cooper. Welcome back. This week's topic is drug addiction. Addiction is a brain disorder characterized by compulsive engagement in rewarding stimuli despite adverse consequences. That's according to Wikipedia, of course. And according to the National Survey on Drug and Alcohol Use and Health, 19.7 million American adults age 12 and older battled a substance use disorder just in 2017 alone. So you can imagine those numbers have went up significantly. Our guest here today is here to share his story in hopes that we help others who are struggling and to help encourage families who may want to give up. If you have addiction in your life, be that your family, your spouse, your child, your friend, coworker, we hope you hear something today that will lead to recovery or to understanding, compassion, and patience. So this week's guest is a believer in Christ. He used to be a DJ, and he worked very, very hard to get and stay sober. He says it took him almost 25 years, and in the end, it was God that led him to recovery. Please welcome Jason Mantell. Welcome, Jason. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
How
is everybody?
Everything's good. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming on today and taking the time. So if you could for us, can you just briefly share your story on addiction for us?
Yeah, of course. My name is Justin Mantell.
Mm-hmm.
I am 38 years old. I grew up here in Connecticut, partly in Stamford. Then we moved to Trumbull on the Bridgeport-Trumbull line. And then I lived all over Connecticut. I'll tell you why. And so at 12 years old, I smoked my first joint, drank my first 40, thought I was cool, hanging out with, the guys. Growing up in Stamford, we grew up right next to the project area. My mom was like very overprotective. She was mugged in the house, and just all kinds of bad stuff went on in that area that we lived in. So we're kind of on lockdown. We couldn't really go out. So when we moved to Trumbull, we had a yard. There was a park down the street, so there was some freedom there and everything like that. And the kids that, had moved into the neighborhood, they were around my age, and they had older brothers and sisters who were, in high school, and so I hung out with those guys. The ones that accepted me. A lot of the kids in Trumbull didn't accept me because I was an inner city kid and I walked and talked differently than than most in the school. But so I started, and it wasn't a problem or whatever. It was a weekend thing, and my mom and dad stayed married until I was 17. My dad was a DJ. He had his own company. Yeah. So I'm a second generation. Yeah. He had also started a audio-visual company just by chance. He was doing a DJ job, and there was a slide projector and screen, and the guy didn't set it up right, and he had left. So my dad fixed it and had an idea, and he ran with it. But it kept him away from our family a lot. Okay. Me and him didn't have a good relationship. So, and the reason I'm talking about that is because I'm not blaming my father. My decisions were my decisions, but Absolutely. The lack of having a strong male figure in my life, affected me. The guys that taught me how to kind of be a man and be tough were the guys that were selling drugs and being violent and doing dumb things. And I was involved with some of it. But as I got older, the partying became more and more and more. I'm a blackout drinker, usually not at first, but the progression happens, and then I'm in handcuffs and in hospitals and psych wards and all that kind of stuff, and jail. So at 17, my parents were divorced. That's when I did my first line of cocaine. Shortly after that, I started experimenting with mescaline and ecstasy. I did a lot of ecstasy when I was from like 18 to 19. And then I started dating my daughter's mother, and she went to college. She was in college for a year or whatever. I had dropped out at 17. And she introduced me to opiates. And at first it was just on the weekends, here and there on the weekends. Then we got involved with the Oxycontins, and it was down the rabbit hole. And from the Oxycontins got very expensive, and we couldn't afford it, but we were going through withdrawals and getting sick. And a friend of mine was like, I can't get you that, but I can get you pedo. So there began my dope for the first couple of years that I to my arm, and I went down there. I can't hear you.
Okay.
So I went down. I battled with heroin addiction for a long time, a good 4 or 5 years. I have 2 sisters. One is 10 years older than me. The other one is 3 years younger than me. My older sister has my daughter. She had, taken her for me, and mostly for my daughter, because we're in a bad place. My mother was stripping. We were shooting hundreds, if not $1,000 worth of cocaine every night. So the best thing I could ever do for my daughter was to give her to my sister. But I'm not going to say that there wasn't that selfish part of me either. That was like, if I don't have her, I can party more, and nothing can stop me.
Right.
Right. So
what led you?
I ended up going to rehab in 2005, and I got sober for a little while and was introduced to the 12-step program. And I didn't really take it serious, and I didn't really think that I needed it. I thought, as long as I wasn't sick, I was going to be okay.
Right.
And then, I had moved to Middletown, Connecticut. I'd gotten an apartment with my mother. I was working a full-time job. Things were going good. I, was dating, nice, decent girl or whatever, at least I thought. But then began the alcohol abuse, and it took me down pretty far, but not as far as I needed to go, obviously, because I kept going. In 2011, I had gotten off of. I wasn't doing drugs. I was just drinking. My father was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and I offered to stay at his house or whatever to help him out and whatever. And that ended up turning into like a long-term thing. I started working for his audiovisual company and DJing and stuff like that. And I ended up relapsing again. My father before that had kicked me out of the house numerous times. I've been homeless many times. I was homeless with my daughter. We were making her bottles on the defroster of our car. I've slept on park benches. I've been there. I've done it, and it was a rough road.
And what brought you out?
And so my father and I finally had gotten close after all these years. He saw that I was trying to change, but I did have a relapse, and he caught on. And instead of him throwing me out this time, he had told me that he was gonna help me do whatever I needed to do to get straight and stay on a good path. And I did that for a while, for a few years. I was a rising star DJ. I was second in charge of a big DJ company in Stanford of their audiovisual department. I was also a lighting director. I made a lot of money. I had moved out of my father's house with the girl that I was dating at the time, and things were good. And then in 2015, in August, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 4. He only lasted about 7.5 months. But I didn't know how to cope with anything other than to do drugs. I'd gotten, when my dad, found out that I was doing the dope, a few years before, I'd went on methadone, and methadone had worked for me. Until it didn't work for me. It didn't, it doesn't help you deal with your problems. It doesn't give you coping skills or anything like that. I had take-home bottles. I was good. Then when my father got sick, because I didn't have any coping skills, I fell apart, and I knew he was going to die, despite what the oncologist said. Oh, you got a year. I knew. We all did, and it was very hard with my father because he was not accepting and didn't want to know what his time limit was or anything like that. So it was very hard for me to be around him and all that. And I regret it. I regret that I ran and I hid like I did. Every time I saw him, I bursted into tears. You know, and the reason for that is, in my head, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I just got close to him. Like, me and him just got tight over these last few years. Like, why is he being taken away?
Right.
But unfortunately, like, my dad died, and after he died, I went on a rampage. Lots of cocaine, lots of heroin.
Do you think
the
that
girl that I was dating a year later kicked me out of the apartment? I was homeless for a little while. I went to rehab and did that thing again, but my heart wasn't in it, and I guess I hadn't suffered enough.
Right.
And I gotten out, and I got a little room on North Avenue in Bridgeport to rent. On North Avenue in Bridgeport that I was renting, and I was able to get my DJ equipment back. I started DJing at a strip club down the street, and that didn't work out too well. But my little sister and I were running partners. I was the first person to give my sister a line of dope, and I say that with shame.
Right.
A big brother's not supposed to do that to their little sisters.
Right.
Not supposed to introduce them to bad things. We're supposed to protect them.
No.
But I was so sick in my own head that I thought this was a way for us to bond. That's how sick I was.
Right.
And even though she didn't take to it right away, it was still in there. That feeling that the brain of an addict remembers that euphoric feeling, it was there. My little sister didn't like me very much. Didn't have too many good things to say about me at that time. But her and I were running partners, and we did a lot of damage, stole a lot of things, and arrested and all that kind of stuff. I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. So my dad dies February 6th of 2016. I go to rehab. A year later, I get kicked out. I go to rehab. I get out. My little sister. The walls are closing in on me on this room that I'm renting, and now I'm shooting cocaine by myself. So I'm really not all there. And there was nights where I was crying out to the devil, like, I'll sign my soul over to you. Just give me what I want.
Right.
And I meant it. Thank God that didn't happen.
Right.
And I believe that's because God has a plan for me, just like He has for everybody.
Absolutely.
And my sister and I started hanging out and shooting dope again, and I ended up going to Waterbury and staying with her. One night, I was ready to end it all, and a friend of the family's had called me and wanted to know how I was doing, and I told him, I said, I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to be here anymore. My dad's gone. My life is shit. I can't do anything, and I was blaming everybody else. I wasn't blaming myself, and I wasn't looking at me and the things that I needed to do to change inside so that my life could change on the outside.
Right.
And so I moved down. So he said, you're gonna come move down to Georgia, and I got work for us and this, that, and the other thing, and he did have work for us, but I didn't get paid really. He paid me a couple times. It wasn't very much money, but he also took care of food and stuff like that, and he also took care of the drugs. Right. Instead of me being on opiate methadone, he introduced me to crystal methamphetamines. And at first, it wasn't my drug. I didn't like it, and then doing it a little bit more, I started to like it a little bit more. In 2018, I had come back to. It was a couple months after I'd moved to Georgia. I had to come back to Connecticut because I had a New Year's Eve party that I had to DJ. I came back and I couldn't go to the methadone clinic up here. It was all messed up, and so I started shooting dope. The New Year's Eve job was a disaster. The owner of the restaurant has known me since I was a kid. He won't talk to me, and understandably, I ruined a big night, and. So I ended up staying in Connecticut for a little bit longer than I thought. It was like 3 weeks I was out here. And then I finally was able to get a bus ticket to go back to Georgia. I had brought enough dope with me so that I wasn't sick on the bus. And when I got close to Atlanta, I had called the friend of the family, and I had said, look, I'm done with this shit. I don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Right.
I don't want to be on methadone. I don't want to be on oxys. I don't want to be on any of it.
Okay.
And I said, you guys are gonna need to bear with me because I'm gonna be real sick.
Mm-hmm.
I quit doing the methadone and the heroin. Methadone, I stopped at 30 milligrams cold turkey
all on yourself?
on top of heroin use.
Wow.
So I was sick for a couple weeks there. The one great thing that he had done for me, he made me get up and go to work with him. As much as I didn't want to, he said, Justin, he said, you got to get up and you got to come to work with me and take your mind off of it because a lot of your sickness is mental too. And I said, he was right. He's right. So I got up, I went to work, and it slowly started getting better. I slowly started getting my strength back and started to feel better and all that. And then, we started doing meth a lot, a real lot.
Okay.
And him and I almost killed each other a few times. There was prostitutes in and out of the house. It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as it was going to get. He had left in, I want to say May or June of 2018. And 2018. And I was stuck there by myself. Now, my uncle through marriage was a state mogul in Georgia or whatever. And he was actually the property manager of the duplex that we lived in. So I made a deal with him to, clean it out and make some money and whatever. And I was supposed to go stay with some girl that I, was talking to or whatever. So I was doing the clean out. My uncle had asked me to get him an ounce of marijuana. I did. Later the next day, or the next night, he had, started blowing my phone up and, told me I ruined his weekend. And I was like, what are you talking about? And anyways, I ended up driving an hour from Atlanta in a U-Haul truck to bring him an ounce of weed. When I got in his room, there was porno on the TV, and I had no idea what the hell I just walked to. And he looks at me and goes, I'm sorry, I like to watch porn with meth. I didn't know that. I knew his little 28-year-old friend meth, but I didn't know they did meth. So then he asks me to sit down with him, and it felt very awkward and weird and, just very weird. And he also offered me a line of meth, and I said, yeah, of course. And he started to show me pictures of his little girlfriend doing sexual things and whatever, and then proceeded to proposition me to do a threesome with him and his girlfriend. Now his girlfriend's like 30 years younger than him. I hadn't seen him in 30 years, and my last memory of him wasn't a very good one. It was him chasing me with his pants on, snapping his belt. I don't know if something happened. I hope not. You never know, and I don't want to know. If it did, my brain blocked it out for a reason. Anyways, so yeah, because I think like it's our room talk, like it doesn't mean anything. Yeah, we'll do that, and nothing ever comes of it. I was totally wrong. 2 days later, I was on my way with him and the girl to a fancy hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, and it took a lot of meth and a lot of alcohol to get me to join in and do what they want me to do. And I ended up becoming like kind of like a gigolo or a sex slave. Not really, maybe not a sex slave, but that's what I was there for. He house gave me the master bedroom, big beautiful home, all that stuff, and nobody ever done that for me before. So I was grateful and just what he wanted me to do. But his old girlfriend had other plans, and she propositioned me to sleep with her on the side without him knowing. Anyways, he ended up throwing me out because he got suspicious. I ended up staying with her at her camper in a trailer park, doing meth, having a gun, hanging out the window every time I heard something. Also, there was cameras all around this camper. She was affiliated with some gang out there, watching the monitor on all the different and stuff. And I'd be up for days doing this, and it was terrible. At the end of 2018, they had plotted to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
I knew something was going on. I knew something was weird. So I let my mother and my younger sister know that if something happened to me, that these are the people that are responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up not to do it. And they what they were going to do is they were going on a vacation, Smoky Mountains, and they were going to overdose me and leave me in the hotel or the cabin. And they decided not to do it because my girlfriend knew what I had done with telling my mother and my sister. And so they dropped me off in Knoxville, Tennessee with a bus ticket. I didn't back to Connecticut. I ended up getting in touch with the girl that I was supposed to stay with, and she brought me back to Georgia.
Okay.
I stayed in Georgia for another couple of weeks. It was terrible. I was homeless. Didn't know anybody. All I knew was people wanted to kill me. And I ended up making amends with my uncle or whatever, and I told him the truth about what happened. So he ended up getting me a bus ticket to come back to Connecticut. But before I had asked him to do that, I'd come up with a plan to commit suicide when I came back. I wanted to visit with my two sisters and my mom and my dog, and then I was going to go off my own. So I called my mother and I told my mother what I was going to do. And it wasn't because I was crying out for help or because I wanted anybody to stop me. Because in my mind, I thought easier for my mother when I was gone. That was totally wrong. To do that to your mother, it's a terrible, terrible thing. I can't imagine what she felt like and how scared she was. I'm her son. I'm her only son, and so I ended up coming back, and I was doing heroin again or whatever. I had gotten some money that was owed to me, and I called my buddy to come and pick me up in the morning and go dope, which ended up turning out to be fentanyl. We went back to his condo. He shot up, overdosed. I took him out of his overdose, and then I went and I shot up and I overdosed. And I almost didn't back. They had to Narcan me a few times. Defibrillate me. I remember waking up in the hospital and looking at the doctors and say, "Why didn't you just let me die?" And they started asking me if I was suicidal, and of course I said no. 2 hours later, they let me out of the hospital. On January 11th, I had this overwhelming feeling of what the hell are you doing with your life? Like, get your shit together. Like, you need to do something.
Right.
But hold on one second, because I want to backtrack real quick. God led me to this point, and I don't want to take that out of the story. And I'm sorry for jumping around.
That's okay.
I'm a little out of it. Issues going on. So, but anyways, before I left Georgia, I had spent the night outside of a hotel, like literally outside in 20-degree weather. I had to walk 1.5 miles to this Walmart, and it started to warm up during the day or whatever, which was nice. But within 5 minutes of me being at this Walmart, a lady pulled up to me, wanted to know what was going on with me, if I was okay. And I told her I was okay, and she ended up giving me a couple $2 to get something to drink in the bar because I hadn't eaten in a couple days. And then I'm sitting there, and they had an electrical outlet outside, so I could charge my phone. And I was waiting for the girl to come get me so that we could go do meth and whatever. And I see this lady, walking towards me. She's got glasses on. She smiles at me, and I say, "Hello, how are you?" She goes. I see her leave, and I had no cigarettes, and I was dying for a cigarette. And so out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy about 600, 700 feet on my left, over near the Walmart, entrance, and he's smoking a cigarette. And I'm thinking, maybe I should ask him, but my pride got in the way, and I was like, nope, I'm not gonna ask. Well, as soon as I turned my head away and looked back, he was standing right next to me. The guy's name was Raph, and he asked me a bunch of questions about what I was doing. I was honest, and I told him that a meth addiction, but I wasn't using. It was a lie. And he offered for me to go to work today. His laborer had called out. He was going to give me $5 for lunch and pay me, at the end of the day, all that. So I was like, well, I got to call my friend, she's close by or whatever. I don't know when she's going to be here. And he was like, all right. He's like, well, I'm going to go inside. I was like, okay, well, can I bum a cigarette from you? He's like, I'll give you one when I come outside. I got to go make these keys or something like that. I was like, all right. And I'm waiting for him to come out. But the lady I saw earlier with the glasses, I see again walking towards me, and like a beeline towards me. And she's got something in her hand. He, gets about a foot away from me and says, "For you, God told me to bring this to you." And I'm like, "What?" And it's a Burger King breakfast sandwich. And I had, I had goosebumps. God told you to do this, like. I mean, I didn't think God gave a shit about me at that point, and then she proceeded to tell me that God wanted me to give you a message, that the beginning of your suffering has started. The beginning of the end of your suffering has started. And I just bursted into tears because it was exactly what I needed to hear. And I believe that just that little incident gave me enough hope to make it to where I made it, but I wasn't listening. God, I was still going. So when I decided to get that dope, God was like, well, I'm gonna let you lose your little bit, and you're gonna lose because I purpose. So I go into rehab here in Danbury at MCCA, which is an amazing program. They helped me save my life, and I can never repay what they did for me. I went through their detox, and from their detox, I went to a place called the Sobering Center, which is this like waiting place. It's 21 different personalities and bed, and you're all sitting on top of each other, pretty much. There's a bunch of animals, but it was a great place for me to be. For a couple of days from there, I went to the 28-day program. After the 28-day program, I went to the Sobering Center for another. And from the Sobering Center, I moved into a sober house, which was the best thing I had ever done because I never went that far before. I'd been in and out of rehab and detoxes and all that, but I never stuck, had somewhere to run to. And thank God I didn't this time. It really made me take a look at myself and really work a 12-step program and regain my faith in God and in myself and in my abilities on what I can do in life. I'd gotten a sponsor, worked my 12 steps, service work, and all of that, being involved. I like to tell people that, the opposite of addiction is connection. If you're connected to people that are sober, that know what you've been, and you stay connected to those people, you have a fighting chance, big time. 12 steps. Me building the foundation that I built with my sponsor, those 12 steps, prepared me for what I was going to deal with after my first year of recovery. I celebrated my 1-year anniversary on January 26th, 2020. Sorry. My little sister went to Tennessee to get off of methadone and heroin, and also to give her a boyfriend that had broken her nose prior to her leaving. I had called and got him arrested. So my little sister had gotten to see me get my from my sister, and hear what he had to say about me and what I had to say about the program, and it inspired her. My girlfriend invited her and my cousin to come and stay at our apartment the next night, which was a Monday night. So my sister had come with my cousin, and my sister had told me something that I didn't know, how bad it was with her taking care of our father when he had the pancreatic cancer and all of that. And her and my dad were very, very close. But she forgave me for a shitty thing that I had done to her. And for the first time ever, she had told me what an amazing person I'd become, and she loved the man that I am and that I'm becoming. And that's a lot coming from my sister, who took a lot of abuse from me and made a lot of bad decisions. And The next night, my girlfriend had invited me to come stay on Tuesday night. So they came back. I went to work Tuesday morning, saw my sister, told her I love her. I'll see you when. So I get home from work around 4 o'clock, and my sister and my cousin still aren't here. So I message her and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, we're on our way and whatever. They don't end up getting here until about 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night. And she looked a little funny, but she was supposed to go back to Tennessee the next day, and I didn't want to argue or anything or accuse. I could be wrong. If she was using or whatever, it wasn't going to get anywhere. She was going to get combative and whatever, because it's the same thing that I would have done, you know. So around midnight, my girlfriend and I, we go upstairs to go to sleep, and good night to my sister and tell her I love her and all that. The next morning at about 6:45, my cousin had woken me up. I can't wake Asia up. She's downstairs in your bathroom. I jumped up out of bed, and I went into the bathroom, and my sister was face down, dead from a fentanyl overdose. And my sister didn't just die from one type of fentanyl; she died from 2 types of fentanyl. One was the carfentanil, which is, from what I remember, is more powerful than regular fentanyl.
Yes.
I could be wrong. If I am, I apologize. Me being the person that I've become through the 12 steps and through faith in God allowed me to be able to calmly pull my sister out of the bathroom and lay her on the floor right where I'm sitting, and do chest compressions and on her until the EMTs got here. Because of what I did and because of what the EMTs did, Danbury Hospital was able to get a pulse and her heart back beating, and but her brain was dead. She was unconscious or out too long, and at 2:30 on January 29th, we had to say goodbye to my little sister. We had to pull the plug. And 6 weeks later, my best friend died of an overdose. 5 days later, a kid that I sponsored, who was like a brother to me, he died of an overdose. In April, my girlfriend's father died of COVID-19. Shortly after, a girl named Jamie, who worked at my store, and I helped her get the job there, she died of an overdose. Just recently, a guy that I had done some community service work with, Robert, he passed away from an overdose. We're losing so many people to addiction and to fentanyl, to alcoholism every day.
Yes.
I believe the numbers are more than what we're losing to COVID-19.
Yes.
And nobody's talking, and it needs to be talked about. You don't see that on mainstream media, how people are dying from the disease of addiction and alcoholism. And, I want to bring hope, but I also bring awareness to people that this is what's going on. I've lost quite a few people these past 9 months, 10 months, all due to fentanyl, except for one. And, I have hope for myself and for everybody. And I just all you have to do is work hard. If you want that you were had before, then you have to do something that you were never willing to do before. I wasn't willing to do anything that my sponsor wanted me to do, but I did it because I didn't know nothing. I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to be an adult. I still don't sometimes. I'm not perfect. I fall short 9 million times a day. I don't attend as many meetings as I used to. Life starts to happen, and you got to find balance. Balance is key in anybody's life, but especially for an addict or an alcoholic. We got to learn how to balance family, job, faith, steps, all that, and it's not easy. It was explained to me. Look at it like a 3-legged stool. If one leg is short, the stool is going to topple over. So you got to work on these things all the time. You got to work on your mind, body, and spirit all the time. And I'm guilty of not doing it all the time. We're human. We're not perfect. It's progress, not perfection. anybody that is suffering with alcoholism or addiction, I suggest that you go to rehab. Pay attention to what these counselors are telling you, because they know what they're talking about. I had one counselor. You get one counselor. Well, I used all the counselors in the program. I wanted to know, because I wasn't sure if I was going to stay sober, if I was going to go out and kill myself when I got out. But then I started doing some work, and the light started to come back into my eyes. Hopelessness away, and faith and hope filled that hole. And I live a life that I didn't think I could live ever. And I don't have much. I work at a gas station. I make a little bit above minimum wage. I have a wonderful girlfriend, a beautiful place to live. And I'm grateful for all those things. And I have my mother, I have my sister, and I have my daughter. I've been absent from my daughter's life for a long time, but now my older sister is starting to let me come back in. She's seen the change in me, and so I'm doing, and sees the attitude and how I handle situations. I'm no longer angry. Anger and pride will kill you. So I'm going to end with that. And thank you guys very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? No. Okay. So I'm going to end it, and we're going to have you back, because no one can. I'm not sure who can hear me, and I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna finish. Okay. Anthony, can you hear me? Anne-Marie, can you hear me? I want to see if they can hear me or just you, because I don't know what the technical problem is, but they heard you. Give me 1 second. In case you didn't get to see what we're doing tonight, we're talking about addiction, and we're talking with the Justin Mantell. Oh, he said he can hear me, so he can hear me. Okay, good. So you can hear me. All right. So basically, we're going to have to come back because so many questions I wanted to ask. But thank you so much, Justin, for sharing your story. We appreciate it because we're hoping that somebody watches and listens, and that maybe it'll be their story and they can feel like there's kind of hope for themselves. So I don't know when we'll be able to have Justin back, but we will definitely have him back. In case you have any questions, you can leave them in the box. You can hear me? Oh, good. You can hear? Oh, good. Okay, good. So if you had any questions, you can put them in the box down there, and maybe I can get Justin to answer them, because for some reason he can't hear me. And we're not sure why. So we apologize for the technical difficulties, but let me see. Any questions? Oh, okay. He just left. Okay. He just left. So you guys, I'm sorry about that. Thank you. I'm glad you can hear me, Taisha. Let's see. Who else? Anthony, you can hear me too? Okay. So I don't know why we wasn't able to hear the young man, but you could hear him. Did you hear his story? I hope you heard his story. It was very powerful. It was very from his heart. So I'm sorry I couldn't interact because of some technical difficulty, and we're not sure. I started a new program. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But I will get it fixed. I can hear you. Good. Were you able to hear him, Anne-Marie, the gentleman? Was you able to hear him, Anthony? Tisha, can you hear the other gentleman when he was speaking? Because it was very powerful stuff. I hope you guys were able to hear his story, because it's very, very enlightening. Everybody knows somebody that's dealing with addiction in their family right now. Good. You heard? Good. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Everybody has someone in their family that's dealing with addiction. And the truth. Okay, he's back. Let's see. We got him back. Hi, you're back. Now you can hear me?
Now I can't. Now
you can hear me? Good. Okay, so I was just giving them a little summary. Everyone could hear your story, so that's the most important.
Yeah.
Good. Everyone can hear you, so that was the most important part. And I was asking anybody have any questions. Anybody has any questions down there? There's always hope, my brother. Oh, someone said their brother didn't make it, but there's a lot of people. He heard everything you said, so hopefully your story will touch lives and save lives. And if not, they'll go tell someone else who may touch their life or save their life. So I appreciate it. Yeah. Can you? Am I talking too fast? Yeah, I am. Okay. So it's maybe something.
No, you keep going in and out.
Sorry, guys. It might be something with this new program of mine. So I apologize. But I'm just happy that they heard your story. That's the most important part, because that is the life changer. That's the the gist of the whole thing we're trying to do. I wanted to go and ask you questions, but I'm going to have you back again for the question part, because I'm sure people.
I would love to be back again.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, my friend said, everybody here said they heard you. They heard everything you said. We just couldn't interact because you couldn't hear me. Let's. God bless them. God bless you. They said. Can you see the chats?
Yes.
Can you see the chats?
I can't. No, I can't. Oh, wait, hold on.
Okay. You can't see what they're asking.
No, I can't. No.
Okay, that's okay. I put it up on the screen.
Wait. Hold on.
Very powerful. Yes. God bless him. Powerful. God bless him. Yep. Thank you, guys.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay, that's okay. I'm just gonna tell you some. I put there's people up here who put
Thank you.
You'll see it after we close out, and you'll go back. You'll be able to see all the questions, and you can answer them yourself if you'd like. But everyone said God bless you, pretty much, and very powerful. Yes, very powerful stuff. The main thing is he's working on the problem and stay connected with the people that are clean. Yes, so there's a lot of good feedback here, which is all we really wanted, and that's why I told you I appreciate you so much for taking the time out and sharing your story, because that's not an easy thing to do. And I always say, sharing your story is okay if you're going to save or change your life. And I think that will happen. I'd like to see you write a book next. That's all right.
Let's do it.
The book is definitely next. Your story is amazing. And if all that you survived, all the many deaths that's happened is so soon and back to back, and you still got up like a champ in the boxing ring and like, okay, I'm going to go for another round like this. Let's do it. So God bless you for that, because, I was in an addiction field for over 15 years, and it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And we can always make excuses, but you didn't make any, and you're not making any. That's all we can ask for, bro.
No, I'm not. Like I said, I fall short. I don't do as many meetings as I used to do, and because of the pandemic and all that, like, it stopped some of my service work.
Right.
And I'm able to do it through Zoom meetings here and there, but I do music therapy rehab here with their clients, and I'm not able to do that because I can't go in there yet until we're open 100% in Connecticut.
Okay. And are you DJing anymore? Are you DJing anymore?
As of right now, I haven't DJed in about. No, not as of right now, but hopefully within the next year or so, I will be.
Okay, I think you should do sober parties.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. I said I think you should do sober.
I would love to open up a sober club one day.
That's what I was thinking. I might beat you to it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a good idea, because the people still want to. The overall.
Well, if you need help, let me know.
No, but seriously, everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants to be a part of something. And so that part you can't take away, whether you're an addict or not. That's what people like. People associate and like associating with people. So with that being said, a sober bar to me would make sense, because you're still with people, but you're not getting high. So it makes sense to me. You're drinking soda or whatever the concoctions they make this sober related. And you're still going out and having fun,
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry, guys, my technical difficulty. My side.
Yeah, I mean, my first few months, after getting out of the sobering stand and being in a sober house, I had went to a bar with a bunch of my sober friends, and I'd never been in a bar before without drinking. And we walked into this bar and we went to play pool. We weren't there, but we were having more fun than the people that were actually sitting there drinking. I mean, loud, obnoxious, laughing, having a great time. And we were all sober. And, it just showed me at an early stage of my recovery that I didn't need any substances to have a good time.
Absolutely. You don't. I've had plenty of good times. my birth, I ended up in foster care due to addiction for the rest of my life. Oh, sorry. No, can you hear me? Now?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all? Okay, so just 1 second. So, guys, basically, I'm gonna have to end this because he can't hear me, even though I know you guys can hear me. But addiction's a very powerful thing, and I appreciate you all for taking the time to share this with somebody. Yeah, well, I'm gonna leave and come back and see if that'll work. Yep, try that. No? Okay. No, yeah. Oh, okay. No? No, he can't hear me. Now. Okay. Nope. All right. So, guys, I apologize for the technical difficulties. We will have to get him back on the show again. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We'll have to get him back on the show again. But I thank you guys for taking the time to watch. And please share the information with somebody and save a life. All right. Until next week, I will talk to you all later. I'm going to say bye for now. Bye, Justin. Thank you for being our guest. I'm going to get this back to you.